Hello, everyone. I know I posted on social media earlier before this episode was published that I had a confession to make, and I felt it was important to just get this out of the way. It's something that's just been, nagging in my brain, and honestly, I feel horrible about the actions that I've committed, and I just feel like I need to get it off my chest, and I just want to be, true to my audience, and just and I just need to. Anyway, let me just tell you what happened. So, I was in Walmart, and as a truck driver, I need to replenish my supplies, need to get more water and more food to put in the cooler and all that, just typical stuff. And I made my regular trip to Walmart and got everything I needed for the most part. They still don't have disinfectant wipes, but anyway, I was able to check out and got through Walmart really with no issue. Some people wearing masks, some not. So, but everything went smoothly, and was able to get to my truck and put all the groceries back in the truck. Got my water and all that, and just I'm sorry, I'm a little flustered right now because I'm really I can't believe what I did, and I feel like I need to let you know. And I'm sorry. When I tell you this, I just want you to know how truly sorry I am for doing this. But I just need to tell you that I failed to put the shopping cart back in the stall.
From the highways of America, here's the podcast where we talk politics, a little entertainment, some culture, and this and that, from the road to your ears. This is Trend Chat with your host, Brian Bledsoe.
And welcome to another episode of Trend Chat. I am your host, Brian Bledsoe, and if you want to connect with us, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok. For the time being, it's all the same name, at Trend Chat 24/7. So look, I was being real about that about that intro, because I mean it really was something now I'm still thinking about now, because if you don't know, shame on you if you don't, because I've mentioned before on the podcast, one of my pet peeves is that people that don't put shopping carts back in the stall, and I'm just can't get over the fact that I was one of those people a couple of days ago. Now, if I want to justify why I didn't, I don't feel like I need to. I should, because I remember there was like a shopping cart theory that went viral back in May, basically saying, judging your character based on if you put the shopping carts in the stall or not, or if you just leave it wherever you want. But anyway, if I want to give a little caveat to why I didn't, one, I parked in the back of Walmart, and there wasn't a shopping stall all the way in the front. There wasn't one for like a long way. It was a long walk, and it was really hot. I was in Iowa. It was hot. Yeah, it was like 90, but it was humid. So I was really sweating. Anyway, I'm not going to accept my own excuse. I should have put it back. And it's something I'm still thinking about right now. That was a couple days ago. But anyway, thank you for listening to Trend Chat. I don't know if this is your first time listening, and so I don't talk about shopping carts often, so it might be the last time, unless I see someone else do it. But now I'm going to feel a little guilty in chastising someone for not doing it, because I've done it once, and now I feel guilty. So we're going to talk with Justin Malone and talk about his new film, Uncle Tom, and it's a great interview. First off, I guess I want to just apologize a little bit for my audio, because for some reason I had the levels to the point where it sounded like I'm screaming in the microphone, but I try to fix it as much as possible. Yeah, I'm really upset. Now I'm truly upset with myself about that. That's how I did the audio on that. But before we get to that, actually, I'm not going to get to that now, but because I had a new segment that I was thinking about doing, which this may be the one and only time we'll do it, but I think I do this after I mentioned this, because recent news has come out, especially in Texas, that the Republican Party of Texas convention, which will to be held in Houston next week, has as of right now been canceled by the mayor, Sylvester Turner, but it's been canceled at the convention center. But it's a fluid situation that's going on. Who knows as we're recording, things may have changed. But as of yesterday, Mayor Turner put out in the press conference that he basically just found a way to have the convention canceled. Now, I've mentioned this a number of times on the podcast that pretty much every major city is run by Democrats. So I almost felt like it was just redundant to mention that he was a Democrat, but just want to make it known. Yes, he's a Democrat mayor, and to say politics is not playing a part in this is I can't deny that it's not somewhere. I know that not only him, but just across the country, mayors and governors are eager to use the excuse of public safety. And yeah, that may be a part of it, but I'm pretty sure the power that they're able to wield by just screaming pandemic is very tempting. And I think some are just are reveling in it right now. And, I'm pretty sure, given from what the mayor has said, the mayor down in Houston has said before, I'm just going to say, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not in the room, not privy to any private conversations with him. But I think that he's probably taking particular pleasure in canceling the convention, and especially doing it so close to the time right before we were about to meet next week, and just basically putting the Republican Party of Texas in, trying to be as disruptive as possible. And so, like I said, I just feel that's how he's doing things right now, and he just kind of just doing as much as possible to disrupt the Republicans as much as possible. So, but like I said, as of right now, this is it is an ever changing issue right now, and so who knows what is by the end of the day. What has changed, and maybe the location changes, or do a virtual convention. I mean, I'm a delegate for the convention, so I've been listening to updates from the chairman, James Dickey, who we've had on a couple of times, and I was thinking about asking about to have him on, but I really didn't want to, because I know not only with everything with Mayor Turner and all of that, and just also with all the things they've done to try to accommodate what the mayor demanded as far as spacing and make sure everyone is social distance away from each other. And so the Republican Party of Texas has pretty much doubled the size of the meeting space and all that. So, like I said, that being said, all that is in motion right now. So who knows, by next episode, who knows where we'll be at. But I would just kind of go back to, I guess, the broader subject of, these mayors and governors, Democrat and Republican alike. that are just, I feel like they got a taste of what, unfettered power kind of feels like, because everyone is kind of gripped for the most part. A good number of people, a high percentage, is not a majority of people, are kind of held by, this fear of the coronavirus. And not saying that it's nothing to fear at all, but I feel like a lot of these mayors and governors, and regardless if they're Republican or Democrat, are just kind of really using their power and just really taking advantage of the time right now. And I wonder, after all this is over, where we're going to be as a country, where, a lot of these powers that they've afforded themselves are they going to relinquish those powers, or are they going to try to hold on to them by just not, like, they're not going to relinquish the power, but they're just not going to mention it, even though it'll still be on the books somewhere and all of that. So I'm not optimistic. I'm very pessimistic, actually, that a lot of these, authorities are going to walk back the powers that the people have given to them, because either by just outright in support, but and also in not really, fighting back against all of this. So, and I mean, like I said, I said Democrat and Republican alike, but for Democrats, this is, they don't really have to worry about any pushback from their constituents. I mean, or have to really, I guess to have a facade that they're doing something else as opposed to what they're really doing. Because, I mean, for Democrats, this is their dream, for Democrats to, have this overwhelming, truly oppressive government power, not the oppressive power that, like Black Lives Matter and all of these, in these protests claiming about oppression. The power that they're talking about, that they're using this pandemic for, that can be real oppressive. So, but yeah, this is a dream for the Democrats. This is like, oh, we can just do what we want. We can have this, this just overarching power over people. And just all we got to do is scream pandemic, and everyone just falls in line. But on the other side, for Republicans, I would say either they're showing their true colors of how they want to govern, or they're leading by fear, because I've mentioned that before too. Some of these Republican governors and mayors or whatnot, or just people in authority, or probably just leading by fear of perception in the media, or just fear of like liability if someone becomes sick and they feel like they didn't do enough, that they may face legal action, or just repercussions at the ballot box. It could be fearing that if we're perceived as not doing enough, then we're probably going to get voted out. Regardless of how, whether it, infringes on rights and nothing. So that's not really as important, which unfortunately that's kind of proven to be true, because people are kind of really, not having as much of a problem. I mean, obviously there's plenty of people who are vocal against it, but, there are plenty of people who are willing to just, give up a lot of rights. And this, we've seen that in the past couple of months. And so now we're at this point. And so they're making the calculation to take the risk and just, do whatever they want, all in the name of public safety. And I would say it's going to work. Will people remember all of this when it comes time to whenever their election is up? Who knows? History has taught us that we have very short memories. So, but then again, I guess it depends on how much it affects enough people to the point to where they will keep remembering that, and that they like, okay, we don't want this person in this position because of what they did back in the first half of 2020 or the whole year of 2020. So that's like I said, with the convention, I guess we'll find out what's up there, and by next week, I guess we'll do an episode. I don't know. I'm pretty sure we'll do one. Just where we're going to do it at, I guess it's more the issue. So, but I don't know. We'll see, and I guess I'll let y'all know next week what's going on there at least. So, before we get to our next segment, which, like I said, I was thinking of this segment for a while. Well, not really, but we'll try it out. It may be the first and only time. I just wanted to try this out. But before that, let's hear a word from Young Americans Against Socialism.
Hey guys, this is Morgan Zegers, the founder and CEO of Young Americans Against Socialism. We are a nonprofit organization working to preserve a free, fair, and prosperous America for generations to come, all by equipping our generation with the truth about socialism. If you're interested in watching our educational videos, donating to the cause, joining the Ask Coalition, or becoming a contributor, you can do all of these things at fightsocialism.org. We hope you'll join us in this crucial fight for the future of our great country. Thanks!
Hey everybody, it is Chad Prather, host of the Chad Prather Show. You are listening to Trend Chat with my man, Brian Bledsoe. Come on with it.
Trend Chat is proud to be a part of the hashtag Life Tribe or Culture of Life as they seek to celebrate life through the world of fashion. Go to COL1972.com and get 10% off your purchase when you enter the code Trend Chat. All right, so that, and hearing from Chad Prather, I mean, that could be our future governor. So I'm definitely gonna keep that on. I mean, if you don't know, I think last week Chad said he's running for governor, and he wasn't joking. I mean, he says right now that they're in a exploratory phase of it, but he was for real. So hey, that could be coming from our governor in the next 2 years. So hopefully we'll get a chance to speak with him before then, or either go on a show or whatnot. In the past couple of months, I know the joke has kind of been, it's almost feel like when the game of Jumanji, and given that this is July, this will be the 7th level of Jumanji with everything that's been going on with the pandemic and everything. It kind of feels that way, protest riots. And I mean, it just felt like murder hornets. I mean, it was just like, what's next? I was thinking like it feels like the 7 plagues are going to start at something. Anyway, I know when at the beginning of July, people were asking, okay, what's coming up for July? What is going to be the story? What's going to be the catastrophe or whatever that's going to happen in July? And what's going to be the story in this month? And I would just say, I guess we kind of got it on July 4th and I'm not talking about the reprehensible, stuff that was going on outside of the White House, where you had groups like Antifa and Black Lives Matter out there stomping and burning the American flag and all that just reprehensible garbage that they were doing out there. Not really talking about that. What also happened on July 4th is Kanye West announced that he's running for president. So there it is. That is the surreal moment of July so far. I mean, right now we're in the middle of July. Who knows what's going to happen? But as of right now, I think that will be the big story, the story of July, especially if it turns to be something real where he actually runs. But who knows? who really knows? I mean, I know he put it out there and all that, and if it's really going to happen, 50-50, if not less than that. On top of the fact that he can't even be on every ballot, or in the ballot in every state, because the deadline has passed. But who knows? Maybe he may be able to get around that. I guess it'd probably be a write-in or something. I don't know. I'm not even really going. I didn't even really look up and see if he really had a chance to be on all, because I honestly don't know if he's going to, is this really something he's going to do, or was he just doing it to get, a reaction, which he did. And, cause I think the last thing I saw, he hasn't filed anything with the Federal Elections Commission. So, until you start seeing paperwork, that's when it's getting real. So, but yeah, if he runs, I think it will hurt Biden in the end. I mean, with the black vote, in a sense, in particular. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with, if Kanye West runs, and I would think it would take away some of that black vote from him. Okay. I am certainly don't want any part or any chance of a Biden administration. So if that's what happens, if Kanye West turns out to be like, I guess, people will perceive as like Ross Perot, what he did to George H.W. Bush. So if it would be something like that, okay. long as Biden ain't in the White House, I really don't care. So like I said, we got our interview with Justin Malone. We're gonna have that coming up, but we're not going to do our inventory update. Well, you know what? Matter of fact, why not? Let's go ahead and do it, because as I mentioned in the beginning, I did go to Walmart. So, and I guess I can give a quick one in particular. I guess I don't know. Let me see. Yeah. So, all right. And done. All right. Yeah. So, all right. In my intro, I did say I didn't see any disinfectant wipes. So that is still something I don't see on the shelf. That is hard to find. As far as also disinfectant spray, it's still hard to find. So kind of go back to the other episodes in the beginning of all this, and like I said, as a truck driver, I would recommend, if you are looking for any of these items, because it's not like they're not on the shelf, because when I go there, I see where they used to be, because you will see the box that was on the shelf but the box is empty. So it was there. It just, like I said, it's normally stocked early in the morning. And so if you're looking for that, your best bet is to go in the morning. So I'm saying Walmart, cause they're the one, that opens around 6 or 7. Some do the senior citizen hour first, and then let everyone in. All of them are different. So you just got to check your local, retailer, whether it's Walmart, Target, or whatever. So yeah, your best bet is to try in the morning, because the one thing it's difficult to find anywhere, I don't care where I'm at, is disinfectant wipes and disinfectant spray. Hand sanitizer is pretty much on the shelf. You got all different brands. You got new brands that you haven't seen before on the shelf now. So you're pretty sure to find some there. I mean, some of the stores still have it where you can only get one per customer and all that. So yeah, I guess that's the inventory update. So that's a whole nother sound. That is not right, producer. Cutting that off. So anyway, now I want to get to this before I get to the interview, because after this, then we're going to get to our interview. And as we want to make a weekly segment as far as shouting out our locations that are listening to Trend Chat. And so I definitely want to keep doing this because every time I see this, yes, and that is the right sound for that. So, and this time we have, for one, so the states in general. First of all, let's start with international. Obviously, you know, United States is, the overwhelming majority at 91%. But we have a new country, which I never seen before, is Peru. So Peru is listening. So if you're listening in Peru, thank you for listening. Like, share, subscribe, as well as everyone else. Also, Mexico. So that's it for the past week. So Peru and Mexico, as far as the international goes. Now, within the states, starting at number 10, Grapevine, Texas, which is great. I appreciate everyone in Grapevine listening. That's in the Dallas Fort Worth area, North Texas. Then the Kansas City, Missouri. Appreciate you listening. And Bayboro, North Carolina. I don't know where that is, but North Carolina. Thanks for listening. And then, then we actually go international again, because then the next city is Lima, Peru. So I guess there are people in Lima of all places in Peru, is particularly Lima that's listening. So then the next is Lincoln, Nebraska, which has been on there consistently. So and Longmont, Colorado, and Spring Hill, Florida, Tomball, Texas. Don't know exactly. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but Westminster, California, and at number 1 for this week, last week, is L.A., Los Angeles, California. So yes, if you're anyone listening in L.A., listen to Trend Chat, especially if cut that off right quick, man. Just want to actually, for the people listening in LA in particular, I just want to say, if go back and listen to the very beginning of this episode, and I hope my acting came across as believable, and if so, send an email, trendchat247@gmail.com. I'm pretty much available, anytime. So yeah, those are all the international and city states. So as I said before, if you want your city shout out in the top 10, guess you got to like, share, and subscribe in your town, in your city, to build up those numbers to get a shout out. And if you're in another country as well, yeah. So all right, just wanted to get that out. I had a segment that I said I was going to talk about, but we're going on 30 minutes. So I'm going to hold that off until next episode. Matter of fact, 'cause we almost did it anyway in the beginning. So I'm going to hold it off, for another time. So matter of fact, we're going to get straight into it. And again, I want to say about the audio, which I'm disappointed in myself in this, but it's just difficult for me to adjust the levels while I'm doing the interview. Just want to put that out there because there's nothing wrong with Justin's audio. Justin sounds great, matter of fact, and I'm particularly proud of the interview as a whole. Unfortunately, my audio sounds horrible, but you can understand it. But it sounds like I am screaming in the microphone. And anyway. Just want to put that out there, but hopefully that doesn't take away too much from your listening experience. So without further ado, here is our interview with Justin.
Hello, this is Trend Chat, and we are very pleased to have Justin Malone with us. He has a new documentary out called Uncle Tom, which is excellent. I saw it recently, and like I said, we're pleased to have him on to talk more about the film and to see about everything else is going on. So how you doing, Justin?
Doing good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing quite well. So I guess first, what was the inspiration for doing Uncle Tom?
Well, I think it was brought to my attention when Herman Cain ran for president, and I saw how the mainstream media treated him. And up until that point, I had never seen the media talk to a black man on TV that way. And that's when I learned that black Republicans and black conservatives were kind of fair game. And I just started paying attention then. I mean, that's when the seed was planted. And then obviously once the 2016 election was underway, I saw a lot of black conservatives emerging, a lot of vocal black conservatives like Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum. And so I said, there's a story here. And I just started interviewing some local black conservatives that I had found through a couple contacts I had. And once I started interviewing people, I realized that it was a fascinating story. So that was it. I mean, I would say that that's when the seed was planted, when I saw how Herman Cain was talked to by Lawrence O'Donnell on MSNBC. And then, of course, as I researched, I went back and learned more about Clarence Thomas and so on and so forth. So, that's I would say that's when the seed was planted, was around 2011 when I saw that interview.
And so from that, you said you reached out to black conservatives or black Republicans out there, and so how long was the whole process of filming? How long did that all take?
I filmed, the whole process was about 2 years. And a lot of that was, going out and fundraising and trying to get it made. Mm-hmm. I started in Dallas, which is where I'm from. And once we had interviewed about 4 people, Eugene, Ralph, Pastor Stephen Broden, and then Chad Jackson, I cut together about 11 minutes of like a teaser or just kind of like a proof of concept. And then I went out to Los Angeles to see if I could get it made. I approached Jesse Lee Peterson and had a meeting with him. And it turns out that Blexit, the very first Blexit event, was there while I was in Los Angeles. So I was able to get in there, and then I actually got backstage and met Candace Owens that day, let her know about the project. And then it just so happens Larry Elder had contacted me back. I had been trying to get a hold of Larry for some time because he was obviously an interview I wanted to get for the film, and it just worked out. So I interviewed Larry Elder. So I was starting to get my foot in the door, and then I went off and cut a little bit more, and then came back to Larry, showed him what I was doing, and that's when he kind of wanted to get more involved and was asking like what I needed to do to get the film made. So that's when he kind of stepped in as a producer and helped me raise the funds. And then from that moment on, it was full time, and took about 11 months to edit the film. So that was kind of the process there. But overall, about 2 years.
Oh, okay. I know 2 names in particular that you just mentioned there, as far as Eugene Ralph and Larry Elder. Larry Elder is someone I've been listening to for years now, and I actually got a chance to meet him at the 2016 Republican National Convention in Cleveland, and we took a picture together. And when I went to see Uncle Tom in Dallas recently, I had that picture made, printed out, and I asked him to autograph it for me. And also in Eugene Ralph, I would consider him a mentor of mine. I would say if it wasn't for Eugene, I probably wouldn't be doing this podcast. I definitely wouldn't be doing a lot of what I've been doing the past 10 years or so. And me and him also, we received the Texas Conservative Award from Empower Texans this past December together. And so yeah, to see him on there, I didn't even know he was in it until I saw like the trailer. Like, Eugene didn't even tell me that he was in it. But
Eugene was one of the very first interviews I conducted, and
okay.
So a lot of time had passed
Oh, okay.
So he had probably forgotten about it, to be honest with you. I kind of, once I went out to California and then I went out to the East Coast to film. When I got back to Texas, that's when I had contacted Chad Jackson, who ended up being the star of the film, who's a Dallas-based, owns a plumbing company in Dallas, Fort Worth. So he didn't even realize what was going on until I had, called him and let him know that I thought the film was going to be a much bigger deal than we had anticipated, and that we'd gotten some heavy hitters in it, and I could tell right away that the film was going to be very engaging and provocative. Just from the early cuts, I knew I was onto something. So I kind of reached out to Chad, who really doesn't seek attention in this way, and just kind of let him come in and start looking at rough cuts just to kind of gear him up for, like, because I wanted to be respectful. But I knew once we got Herman Cain and Larry Elder was on, and once we got Candace Owens, I knew that the film was probably going to get a lot of attention.
Okay, yeah. It's funny because in watching the film, I would say my story is similar to Chad as far as how he, I guess some say like the red pill moment, and how it kind of was like an epiphany. Like for me, my story, which I've mentioned a number of times on the podcast, it just, as far as, like, it's similar to Chad, but the time would be around the end of 2007, going into 2008. And but yeah, it's pretty much the similar to his. And something I wanted to ask is that, well, you kind of alluded to just now, is that Chad is kind of the star of it. And I noticed in watching the film, it started with Chad and it ended with Chad. And I was wondering what was behind that.
Well, I mean, Chad was one of the very first interviews that we did, and his interview was just very powerful. I remember when we finished, I would say that was the nail in the coffin of knowing that this was going to be my next film. We met him at his warehouse, I think somewhere in Lancaster or somewhere out there, and the interview was just so powerful, and and I was kind of sticking my toe in the water, so I had a genuine curiosity, and it wasn't a big production, so I think Chad was comfortable. So his interview was just amazing. Pretty much I think we probably got an hour and 20 minutes with him, and whenever we were going through the footage, like, his interviews were always just really good. Like, his sound bites were just always really, really good. And as we got bigger and bigger names in there, Chad was still, like, hanging in there as far as just having kind of the powerhouse sound bites and just a really genuine perspective. But it was when I interviewed Colonel Allen West, where he basically, and it's in the film, but he gives a short bio on Booker T. Washington. Now, I didn't know much about Booker T. Washington, but Colonel West had written the foreword for his autobiography, From Slavery. So at the end of the interview, he gave me an autographed version of From Slavery, and I read it right away, and then I read it again. And what I noticed about Booker T. Washington is that it was all about himself. It was all about the work. He was all about putting in the work, and he really wasn't seeking the attention that he got. It was just kind of the circumstance of him being who he was. And so when I went back to Dallas and would film Chad, I noticed that Chad wasn't seeking that attention, and that Chad was living the conservative principles that really all the other cast members are fighting for, to educate people about. But I felt like Chad was the goal. He wasn't out. He was not a politician. He was not a celebrity. He built a plumbing company from the ground up before he was 30. He, to me, was the example of what conservative values are. And so that when I was putting the film together, I really liked the idea of starting with him and seeing him work. I grew up in a blue collar family, and I grew up working with my hands before I got into film. And there was just something about it. And so, but it was the Booker T, like learning about Booker T. Washington and just kind of the basic fundamentals of just work, you know. I thought it was a beautiful story. And so when we opened with it, it kind of circled back around, and we had that last shot where, you know, spoiler alert, but, you know, the final shot when he's working, it just felt like the ending shot. So it just kind of worked out. We fleshed it out while we were editing it. But yeah, I mean, I would say that's why Chad is the main subject of the film, because I feel like he's the goal. You know, he embodies conservative and Christian principles.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's your film. I mean, I guess if it's your film, you don't have to say spoiler alert.
Well, I just want to, for anybody in your audience, you know, I really love the last shot. I really, you know, I really think it's powerful. So I didn't want to, but you know. Well, I was being careful myself, because that's all I just said started and ended. I didn't want to give away nothing if you didn't want to. So, in talking about, I guess, the film and how it was made, is one thing in particular that stands out is that it's entirely in black and white. So, what was the reasoning for that? It really wasn't. We didn't really put a lot of thought into that, or I didn't put a lot of thought into that. When I started conducting the interviews, and we would bring them in, I just started looking at them in black and white, and I was like, it just felt right. It always felt right from the get-go. I didn't, you know, there isn't some big, you know, metaphor behind it. I just thought the film looked better in black and white. And I followed my gut on it. A lot of the process in making this film is, you know, I was a commercial director, leading up to this, you know, for the, you know, 10 years before this, I was in television commercials, and I felt like, you know, commercial production is very gluttonous, and, you know, there's a lot of waste, and I kind of wanted to get away from that. So when we started Uncle Tom, I wanted to strip everything away. So maybe, you know, as far as like, we had one light, one camera, and one microphone when we started it, because I didn't want it to be a giant production. And as far as like getting to the black and white aspect, it just felt right. So once we shot Eugene and Pastor Broden and Chad, I cut the initial thing in black and white, and then that was it. It never wavered from that. There is a splash of color in the middle of the film. But that, you know, that the old home movies that I had found of Black America from the 40s, 50s, 60s, it just felt like I didn't want to strip the color out of that. There's something about that, and so that is the splash of color. But the film just always was in black and white, and the film was always called Uncle Tom from the get-go. There wasn't a lot of thought into it. It was just like, this film it just felt right, you know, and I guess it's working, because, I mean, no one's really complaining about it, so.
Yeah, it was funny watching it, when the color comes in, like, oh. And then, but, you know, because I didn't know how I was going to, you know, the whole film was going to be this way. So when color comes in, I'm like, oh, okay. And, then it's back to black and white. I'm like, oh. And it kind of, well, to me, when the color comes in, it kind of adds a little more importance to that particular scene, because it's like, oh, okay, it seems like this, like I really need to pay attention to this because it's in color.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of the whole movie. That whole scene on fatherlessness. That I would say that's probably the best work I've ever done. That whole moment with Bob Woodson, explaining Black America leading up to the 60s is just, I mean, I'm very proud of that moment.
Commentary as subtle as a sledgehammer. This is Trend Chat.
This is Lacey Williams, the founder and president of Expressions Magazine, letting you know that you can order our quarterly magazine and support female conservatives by visiting express-conservatism.com, or you can follow us on social media. On Instagram with the username of expressions_conservemag, or on Twitter with the handle of @express_conserve. Get your copy today.
This is not a criticism. It's more of an additional context, I guess, I was looking for in watching it. Is I kind of wanted to, in watching the whole film, I was kind of wondering if the origin of the term Uncle Tom was going to be talked about, and because given the fact that the film is called Uncle Tom, and Chad alluded to it just a little bit in the beginning about I think he said, like, I feel pity on people who use that term because they haven't read the book, and I was kind of hoping somewhere down the line that there would be a little bit of the origin, like from how did it come from the book to where now it's used as a derogatory, term.
Yeah, that was a scene that existed, and when you're making a documentary, you got to make hard decisions. At one point the film was over 3 hours long, so the scene does exist.
Okay.
So what we're planning on doing, there's a lot of material that just did not make it into the feature, the cut. So
yeah, I heard the Q&A, because anyone that don't know, so I saw it at the U.S. Film Festival in Dallas, and I heard in the Q&A that y'all had a lot of.
Yes, sir. And so, we're planning on figuring out how to get those deleted scenes to the public. So as we probably get closer into September and October, we'll have a game plan on releasing a lot of that. Right now, we're just enjoying that the film is, getting legs, and the word of mouth and the momentum has been phenomenal. And so, right now we're just, like I said, I'm on a little vacay. I needed a little break, so I actually came up here to Colorado with my son to just kind of get some fresh air and get my thoughts gathered. But yeah, as far as the origins of the name Uncle Tom, just when we were coming down to the wire, I felt like there was other things that were more important, and I didn't want to I knew that the material that wasn't going to make it into the feature was going to get to the public. So I didn't stress it a lot, but I couldn't have added another 5 or 10 minutes into the film. We're, right now it's sitting at 105 minutes, and for a documentary that's a lengthy documentary for one sitting. And it's also, when you're watching it, I feel like the film has so much content inside of it that it never gets boring, but it does get exhausting because you're just getting hit with so much. So I really had to strip down some of the scenes because, to throw more storylines at the audience, I think I would have lost them. So to, answer your question, that the origins of the story does exist, the scene does exist. So I would say just be patient, and we're going to start bringing out a lot of these deleted scenes sometime in September or October.
Well, I would just say for myself, like, I am the wrong person to come to. Like, if you wanted to get some advice as far as how long, what should be taken out, what shouldn't, I'm the wrong person for that, because I'll probably have no, just keep it all in there. I want a 3-hour movie. So I know I talked to a director that did to the director for Michael Pack for Clarence Thomas documentary. I spoke with him, and then he mentioned in the interview that this is like a 3-hour interview, and I was asking about were they going into talking about Supreme Court cases and all that, but he said that's like 2 or 3 hours. I'm like, well, I want to watch that. So I'm the wrong person for that, because I understand exactly what you're saying, because that would be a lot, and a lot of people would be lost. I'm just saying I wouldn't be one of them.
Yeah, well, the film was originally intended for a theatrical release, and obviously the COVID pandemic kind of ruined that, but we didn't have any intentions on releasing it online initially. We built the film to be a theatrical release, so it was nice to actually, for that the USA Film Festival did actually happen this year because it was nice to sit in a theater and watch it. As a filmmaker, you want to see your film on the big screen and get that theatrical feeling. But as far as the length of it, like, when we were shaping the story and building it, we were building it for a theatrical release. So like the length of and all that was put into consideration during that process. But as far as your audience and anyone listening to this, we have we intend to release a lot of additional material. There's a lot of it, but right now, again, we're letting the film kind of grow. We're letting it get on everyone's radar, building the fan base around it, getting awareness on it, and then we'll figure out the best way to make sure that everyone that wants more information and more material, like yourself, the podcast junkies of the world, we'll start unloading a lot more material for everybody.
Now, given that the most major theaters are still closed, are you still looking to do a theatrical release, or
no?
Okay.
No, it's out. I mean, it's out. We made the decision. We didn't want to sit on it. There was a couple month period where we had hope that from April to May we were thinking maybe the theaters would open back up. But once Colonel West came to me with the idea of releasing it on Juneteenth, and we had a conversation about that, that's when we kind of just accepted that the theatrical thing, we didn't want to gamble waiting for it, because here we are in July and we still don't know. So that's whenever we kind of decided, well, let's just release it online. And we did. And so that's when we geared up for the Juneteenth release, which was Colonel West's idea.
Okay. Yeah. And I was able to, for myself, first time for me watching it was the week after, was at the festival. And then, and right after that, I was wondering, because when I didn't know where any physical copies going to be sold there, so I wanted to wait until I went there. But as soon as after the film, I bought it and also got a physical copy as well. So, but one thing
I didn't think people would. I didn't think people still use DVDs and Blu-rays, but I mean, we're selling a lot of them. So I was kind of fascinated when we decided to do the DVD run. And it's nice. It's nice. The cool thing about the physical copy is that, if the film were to ever be shut down by, any of the tech companies, there's still physical copies, and there's something beautiful about that. I have the streaming, so that's how I'm using it. The DVD is being sent out to family and friends. No, that's great, and a lot of other people are buying DVDs for family and friends, because if you read the comments or the reviews on IMDb, I mean, this movie is really touching a lot of people, and I knew that it was going to be a kind of a shock to the system, just because when you're editing a film for months and months and months, you're looking at the same thing over and over and over again, but I never got bored with it. I never got, so I knew that if it could keep my attention for that long and still entertain me, once I got it into a concentrated, 105 minutes, that it was going to rock people's world. And I think it is. And so it's nice to see that it's not just people are reacting to the film personally, they're reacting to the film and then wanting to share it. And so I think that's why we're seeing kind of this grassroots word of mouth thing spread. I mean, every day more and more people are watching it and reviewing it. So I'm really excited. It hasn't gotten really hardly any mainstream media attention. The Chicago Tribune wrote about it, they wrote a positive review on it, which was nice. I think as we get closer to the election, and I think that the mainstream media will eventually pick it up, and how they react to it, I don't know. But the good thing is that the film has a really solid support system behind it now, and it's organic and it's real. So I'm very happy about that.
Well, yeah, as I mentioned in the last episode, is that, the first thing I said in the last episode, everyone go see Uncle Tom. And I will say that again. And I know one thing. Well, I guess one last question is, so in this time, I guess, of representation is like considered so important and all that. I'm pretty sure, I don't know how many interviews you've done, but I'm pretty sure someone maybe had brought up the fact that said, oh, why is a white man telling a story about black people? Like, why couldn't it be a black person or something like that? And for some reason want to discount what you've done just because you're white. So,
yeah, I mean, I thought about that while I was making it, but I think that's just silly because, I'm a filmmaker. I felt moved to tell this story, None of the black directors that I know of were wanting to tell the story of black conservatives, and I mean, if you think about it, did they say that when Spielberg made Amistad or The Color Purple? Or, I mean, it's just a silly thing to say because I don't think the film industry should be segregated. I think if you're a storyteller and you have a vision for the story, you should be allowed to tell that story. I think, I thought that people were going to say that a lot more. I'm sure it will come up a lot more, especially once the mainstream media gets a hold of it. But I've already made peace with that. I'm proud of the film. I've made lifelong friends with the people in this film. So, well, what do you think about it being a black man? Like, does it bother you that I'm a white director that made this film?
Absolutely not. It doesn't bother me not one bit because, and you mentioned Spielberg doing Amistad. I don't think he could do it at this time. Like in 2020, if he came out saying he was going to do a movie like Amistad, he would get just berated online to the point where he would probably have to back away from the film. And that's sad.
But isn't it silly? Like, wouldn't that be the same as you can only have black people on your podcast, or Don Lemon can only have black people on his program? It doesn't make sense, No,
it doesn't. No.
when we had Rats shooting, we went out to DC and shot the Young Black Leadership Summit, and I was having dinner with Larry Elder at the Hilton, and we had, we were kind of celebrating that we had kind of finished shooting the film, and and Larry's like, I wonder if you being white helped you because of the curiosity, and because sometimes when you're in your own little bubble, you don't see the big picture. I had a curiosity because it was like, it really was like, why can't black people be Republicans? Like, that simple question was really driving me. Like, that is so silly. Like, why can't black people be Republicans without being criticized? So Larry, who really doesn't focus on race much at all, he's like, I think it might have helped you because you're an outsider coming in. And I can tell you that every interview that I conducted, every one of them, everybody that's in this film, and even the people that unfortunately didn't make it in that I did sit down and interview, were ready to tell this story. Not one person had a problem with me being white. Not one person. And that's something that I thought was beautiful about the process, is that everybody was confident in their beliefs. Everybody was rooted in faith. Everyone had their foundation, and everyone was ready to tell this story. And, I think, I was called to do it. It was on my heart. I followed it. So yeah, I think it's a genuine question that you're asking. I think that people are going to probably use that against me. But I find the film to be very positive, and I find the film to celebrate Black America like no other film I've ever seen. So if they have a problem with it, then that's on them. But, I went through those emotions while I was making it. I went through fear and what am I doing? But those are all gone now, and I'm proud of the work, and I have, the film's out there now, so it's too late anyway.
I mean, it seems like, especially right now, especially in the past couple of months, with everything with the protests and riots and all that, it's become even more of a focus where you're seeing people in Hollywood that are turning down roles or walking away from roles that just because they maybe are not the color of the character or something like that. Or it seems like to me all of this is basically coming down they're valuing representation over quality, really. But the priority is representation. And as long as we got that, whatever. However, if it's good or bad, we don't care. We just want to make sure representation is correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mess, man. And it's like, to me, it's like we're self-segregating, and it's ridiculous. It's like who's the best person for the job? What's the story that you got to tell? Like, I mean, personally, I wish we could just, like, that race was a non-issue altogether. I mean, it's done. It's outdated. I think we've moved past that, but they keep stirring it up and keep stirring it up. So, yeah, I mean, I'm ready to take those arrows when they come flying at me, but no. I mean, I think the film was important to be made. I can't help that I was born white, and I can't help that I was called to make this film. But when I was making it, I always was. My concern was with who was in the film. How are they going to feel about it? Because it was their story, and to me, everyone in the film feels that they were treated fairly. Everyone feels that they were represented well. So that's who that's who my allegiance is to. Because I was just lucky enough to get this story. I mean, it's crazy because it's been in front of us for all this time, and I was lucky enough to just grab it. But yeah, I mean, as long as everyone that's in the film feels that their story was told correctly and fairly, then I guess all the naysayers, if they're gonna come at me, then that's just part of the process.
This is Trend Chat.
Hello, Trend Chat fans. The Founding Project invites you to experience our latest resource to take civics to citizens, TFP's new website. Visit us at www.thefoundingproject.com. Be a part of the civics movement with The Founding Project. The Founding Project is a 501c3 education nonprofit. Join us today.
But I mean, this is, I can't say enough. This is a great film. I think everyone wants to see it. I think it's particularly timely in the sense of when this interview will be posted, because it just had something recently where you had Snoop Dogg going on Instagram, basically doing what was mentioned in this film, where he was just going after black Republicans just because they're Republicans, just because they're conservative. And so a film like this kind of really highlights, because in his post, Candace was one of the people he put on that post, and I forgot who else was on it, but that was in the film. I think she might have been on the one. But yeah, so people really need to watch Uncle Tom. Like I say, you listen to this.
Yeah, I hope Snoop Dogg watches it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would hope, but I kind of doubt he would. But even give us time of day. It's kind of like when you mentioned about any black filmmakers even wanting to do anything like this about black conservatives. I could imagine some may want to do it, but it'll be slanted to where it'll basically just be demeaning us all the way through. I could see Spike Lee doing something like this, where he'll talk about black conservatives, but he'll be talking about it where we're all pretty much Uncle Toms and just wanting to curry favor with the white man and all that. And that's what the whole film will be about.
Well, I really hope, because, I hope Spike Lee watches this film. And I mean, I don't want, a bombastic film that's just going to piss people off. It's a beautiful story, and it's like, let's just chill. Like, isn't it good news that people can be self-empowered and pull themselves up? Like, That's what I mean. I think the film is very positive. It's like, don't you want that? I mean, don't we want to be at peace in America? Don't we want to have a strong country? Don't we want to be united? I mean, that's why, I hope Snoop and I hope, Spike watch this film, and I hope they watch it with an open mind.
Go ahead.
No, that's it. I mean, I know people are going to, come after it, but what's interesting is that, and I'm going to knock on wood, but really the reviews have been pretty positive. I mean, there have been some left-leaning reviews, and nobody's really, bashed the film. There's been people that say, I don't like Candace Owens or I don't like Larry Elder, but the film was good. So, as long as it's a conversation starter, and I'm not an activist, so I didn't make this to get the attention, but it is a beautiful story, and I pray that people like Snoop can find it and just be like, I never thought about that. Isn't it amazing to see somebody successful? Like, isn't it amazing to see someone like Herman Cain, come out of the Jim Crow South and go on to be one of the greatest CEOs this country ever produced? I mean, isn't that something to celebrate?
Yeah, it should be. And honestly, this shouldn't be controversial either. The fact that you're making this film and some will consider it like, some words like, this is a controversial film, where I can imagine if someone reviewing the film would want to call it controversial just because of the subject matter or something like that. But Hollywood loves to talk about diversity. I mean, like I said, especially in the past couple of months, it's all about diversity. But the diversity that they're talking about is really superficial, because it's just
one, have they?
No, because like I say, it's all superficial, because it's spin deep, because all they want is that, they don't want no diversity of thought.
Well, I hope that, I don't think that a film can save the world, but, I hope that it at least can calm people down and, let's just have a conversation. Like you said, It's not that controversial. Like, we need to just chill out, let's just chill out and if this film can do a little bit to get people to open their mind a little bit and, let's stop dividing ourselves, then, I mean, that would make me feel better than anything. That would be I'd feel very successful if it, and it seems to be doing that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're still in the beginning stages, but like I said, every day I'm getting more and more messages, and they're very, very positive. So, I'll accept it as a win for now, but, and if the negativity starts coming at me, then, like I said before, I'm prepared for that.
Well, I don't want to take up any more time on your vacation, but just want to ask, so what's next for you?
I got a couple things I'm thinking about, so nothing definitive right now. I think what I'd like to do is just kind of nurture Uncle Tom for the next couple months. We self-released it, so I still have work to do. Me and my team are still, we're doing all the work, so, I want to make sure that we can get the word out through social media. Larry Elder's been doing an interview almost every day, sometimes several, and, I'm going to do things like your podcast and other things like that. So I think, for the next couple of months, I want to just make sure that we can nurture Uncle Tom and make sure that as many people around the world can see it. And then I'll probably, take a little break and see what happens next, but I'm enjoying the ride right now, and I don't want to overthink things. I want to just kind of take it one day at a time.
All right. Well, if people want to connect with you on social media, and also, where they can watch the film as well, where would they go?
Everything's at uncletom.com, so they can link up on all of our social there. There's an email list that I would have your audience sign up for. We're gonna do some really cool stuff, some really cool merchandise and some promo stuff. We have a really talented art director on our team that's making some really, really nice collectible posters, and we have some autographed posters that are going to be coming out. And yeah, all of our Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, all that's at uncletom.com, and you can actually purchase the film and purchase a stream or purchase a DVD at uncletom.com. So everything, that's the hub. And we actually acquired that domain, and we're going to keep everything central there, and hopefully expand it with, like I said, the additional material that we have, and hopefully it'll grow into like a think tank for in the future. So Black conservatives kind of have a hub.
All right. Well, Justin, thanks so much for your time. Again, the film is great. Everyone, go out and just, you should be proud of the film because it's a great film. And, so just thanks for coming on, and we hope to talk with you again soon.
Anytime, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you.
What's going on, y'all? This is Brandon Tatum. Make sure you go to Trend Chat, check it out, listen to it. One of the best shows that I've ever been on. So make sure you go check it out, man. God bless y'all.
All right, so thanks to Justin for joining us, and so appreciate everyone listening. And like I said, I tried my best to fix my audio as far as how I was coming across. I was just listening back to that now, just like, man, it sounded like I was screaming in the microphone. All right, so just want to mention before we go, this is that. If I haven't mentioned before, which I don't think I have actually, is that I am an advisor with Blexit, Texas. So I know we mentioned about Blexit a little bit in the interview. So Blexit, Texas is a chapter from Blexit Foundation, and the whole Blexit movement, which was co-founded by Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum, who you just heard from just then. And so I'm an advisor there, and I'm also, on top of doing this podcast, I also have joined and participated in the podcast with Blexit, Texas, called Liberty and Freedom, or Freedom and Liberty. We're kind of going back and forth which one it's going to be. I haven't figured out which one it's going to be. So right now it's me and Harper Price that are hosting that podcast, and we're looking to do it every Sunday afternoon or Sunday night at 7. So if you're listening to this, and go to Blexit, Texas on Facebook and catch it there. So again, I appreciate everyone listening, and I appreciate, as I mentioned, all the different countries across the globe and also across the country. We playing this. So we didn't play this last episode, coming up on 4th of July, Independence Day. So we're going to end off with a song, the only song we could play that we have permission to play. And it's a good song because it's from West Cook Band. So it's called Stand for the Flag. And we're just going to go out with this. And until next time, we'll chat with you later.
Like the red, white, and blue might be a little bit different, but we're all the same too. Cause the stars and stripes are so much more than that old piece of cloth on your grandma's porch. It gave us that American dream to be anything that we want to be. It don't matter where you are, from a one-room church to an uptown bar. Don't care if you're black or white or who you love. I stand for the flag, and the flag stands for all of us. For the teachers of today, for the leaders of tomorrow, for long-haul driving truckers, rolling all night hauling cargo. The banker pays the farmer who feeds the factory working man, while a preacher talks to Jesus about his son in Afghanistan. We all need each other like an apple needs a pie.